Testing 1, 2, 3, test. All right, looks good. Here we go. We got a bot. Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL. And yeah, it's still big project. Not much has changed there. I still haven't finished it, but we're making progress, and that's the important part. And that's why I want to encourage you guys that even no matter how big your project is, you can overcome it. It just takes time. So yeah, if you had seen me last week, um, I came down pretty sick, and that was Saturday. So the following that Sunday, we ended up testing me again, and I tested positive for the coronavirus. And you might actually still be able to hear it in my voice. It's still a bit, um, it's still a little rough, but I am feeling much better than I did that day, and I plan on being able to stick it through just a little bit longer this time at least. But we'll see how it goes. I have been drinking lots and lots of fluids to try to get the throat to not feel so bad. Also, my eyes are a bit dried out feeling. It's like a puffy feel that I can't seem to shake. So we'll see how things go. We'll take it one step at a time. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you, Rainbow Haze, for being here. Um, I don't know why I have an echo effect. Let's hang on. GoPro isn't doing anything. No, it says I only have one audio source. And that would be the mic. So that I shouldn't be echoey. I'm really confused now. Anyways, um, but yes, I am feeling much better. It was pretty dicey there for a little bit. I was kept feeling like I was just freezing, and I live in a tropical region, so for me to feel that cold is really something. It was the fever, really. Um, so yeah, I was wearing jeans and jackets and typically stuff that I'd never get to wear. So, in a way, that was kind of cool. Hey, Amanda Faith is here as well. Hello. Oh, two browsers. That's kind of neat. I didn't know you could even do that. Cool. Oh no, hopefully you don't have the COVID because that's kind of a little how mine started. Yeah, so like I was saying, feeling much better, way happier that I'm kind of. I tested it again today just to see, and there's still a faint little bar like going across the positive area. It's like a week ago Sunday, that bar was like completely as red as possible. It was like, yep. So yeah, still haven't quite shaken it. And because of all of this, Mandy's currently in another room, so I don't have somebody to help me point out when there's things going on the screen. So if I miss something, just bear with me. I'll try to catch up at some point. Yeah. So when I came down sick Thursday night. On Friday, I was really miserable. Went to the doctors. I had tested on Friday as well as got tested by the doctors on Friday. Both of them showed up negative. It wasn't until Sunday where I actually tested positive. So, yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully, it's not it, but do know that it takes a minute before the tests actually register as positive, which is really weird, but it is what it is. That's at least how it worked with me. So, um, so yeah, last Sunday we barely were into this for an hour. Nobody had a chance. So we still have, and this has been going on for ages now. I can't even believe that nobody's guessed it. We still have the secret word game. And so far, the clues have been that it's related to a video. And I remember what the other clue was now. The other clue was that it was easy enough that we shouldn't have any trouble with the spelling. Those are the two clues. So I don't want to give any more away, but those were the clues so far. Yeah, hopefully, Amanda, it's not it. I don't know what I would hope it to be. Obviously, being sick in general sucks, but you know, is what it is. So, yeah, anyway, so yeah, last week I ended up having to cut the video rather early. I couldn't think. My my brain was like, I don't know if it's just a um, lack of oxygen or what it is, but something about the whole experience. I was sitting here absolutely dumbfounded. So yeah, pretty crazy. Um, since then though, I managed to get a little bit done. Obviously, this is um, further in than we were last time. That said, it's nowhere near as far as I would like it to be. Unfortunately, I was not up to it for days. So I have though, these ones up here were added earlier, and yeah. Um, so I've already added these ones in beforehand because there's just so much string to be added right now, and um, I'm not cutting up an excessive amount of embroidery floss to get it ready like in advance, but I still had to cut up quite a few because of how much we're using here. So we're up to 740 skeins so far. Cotton brain. Yeah, foggy brain. Yeah, it was really bad last week. It really was bad. But yeah. But yeah, so we're up to 740 skeins and I'm only doing like if I run out of a color, then I'll cut like 5 skeins worth so that way I have it. But and that's really kind of not a lot when it comes to this thing. But yeah, I'm changing up in some of these instances. There is 6 or 8 different strings being replaced in just one of the squares. So, um, as far as like advice goes, I would definitely say if you can, don't leave it to all happen at once like I did. Um, it's a lot harder to have that much string to be replaced all at once. It's just a way harder challenge than I would have cared to have done. So In some instances, I can see where I changed out an orange or a blue or something earlier, but um, leaving them all to happen all at once is really, yeah, I would advise against that if possible. We'll see what happens when it comes to the pillows I'm doing because a couple of the patterns that we've chosen kind of seem like they're the ones that will end up having all of the strings running out at the same time, which obviously that would really be a problem. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how if we can find ways of getting around it and how to best work that out. So if you're not already a subscriber, you should subscribe just for that because there's going to be a lot of interesting content that comes up as I go forward. I suspect a lot of it will be with the bigger projects, although I would like to actually show how littler things, things that happen on just a regular bracelet, um, how to overcome those things, which the same rules like apply, as far as like tension and stuff goes. It applies to this as opposed to just a smallest of bracelets. So um, there's always something to be learned, I guess, and hopefully a good reason for beginners to want to, check out the channel. It's so much you could potentially gain from all of this stuff. But yeah, still feeling it a little bit in my throat, still feeling it a little bit in my left ear, kind of just a bit of pressure, not really an earache, but just like a feeling of pressure. It's not been very good. Doing what I can though. Let's see. What else? Oh yeah, and on top of me getting COVID, we've had a new number of our family members also getting it. My wife's uncle just got it. We have family in England that got it. Just seems like suddenly everybody that was able to dodge the bullet is now suddenly coming around to it. The one that hasn't, though, is Mandy. Somehow, either she got it and never noticed, or she somehow managed to not get it despite even her proximity to me. So go figure. Um, how long can it? I highly doubt that I would have to. Because I don't think that the COVID can last that long. By the time I'm actually done with this thing, even if the healthiest of microbes were on it, I think they would die off just from like the amount of time involved. Like, I know that it can like survive on surfaces and stuff for a little bit, but I don't know how long that is. Now you got me wanting to do science and stuff. I did read something about though that the chances of getting COVID off of a surface is something like a 10,000 to 1 kind of odds. So you're seriously unlikely to get COVID from a surface. I thought that was interesting. I do kind of want to know how I managed to get it because of the fact that I don't go out. The only real thing I've ever done is like going down to get the mail. Um, so I'm really at a loss as to how I could actually have contracted the COVID, so I don't know. Right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I do plan on actually um putting this thing through a washing machine and then, while it's heavy and whatever, lay it out and maybe iron it and stuff to get it really nice and flat. Which actually brings me to an interesting point. So I did this one here, right? Since I brought this back around, I've done this row one, this one, and then one more. So that makes like four little squares, right? So that's the area we're working on right now. If I do that once more, right, from like down here and come down four more spaces, that's it. That's the end of this whole thing. Um, and part of me is now kind of tempted in doing it. And here's my rationality why. When I get to the end, when this is the actual like how it ends, I'm going to like do like how I do at the end of the bracelets, that whole like the it wraps over one, then wraps over two, wraps over three, till it gets the end, and then tie the knot. My plan has been to tie the knot right at the middle, right up nice and high, and then just leave like a little tassel. If I do that, I don't have to worry about the ton of string that's getting rifled around the back. And it's particularly a ton of string because I just replaced most of the pieces up in here, right? So part of me says just go ahead and get that done with, and then I could have it a whole, it's going to take longer to get each one of these little rows to come down, but then the whole thing itself is relatively done. And I mean, or do I just do this because it's relatively faster just to do the shorter row and not do it? I'm really, really torn about this. The two ideas kind of conflict with me as to like what's the smarter way of doing it. So I have to admit, I do like the notion that if I can cut the excess of string off, that's just, whoops, I did that wrong. Oh, they're not wrong. All right, if I can fix that in a sec. Um, but yeah, I'm completely divided on the subject. If I do it, it probably means I'm going to have to work with the whole thing up a little bit higher when I do this part of the row. That way I have enough room at the bottom for the rest of it. I don't know. Wow, so only 24 hours. That's actually shorter than I thought it would be. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about the notion of get this thing finally being done, and the whole prospect of being able to see parts of it done too might be pretty cool. One of the one things that is I can like right now, because let's see if I can move this. Got too tight. Okay, so you can see like the edge of the board. That's how far I've gotten, right? So um, as of right now, I can reach around the back and access and pull strings through that are, the ones that are being replaced. Um, Obviously, that's going to go away here really soon, as soon as I just get a little further down and have to shift it. And that kind of bums me out. Like this thing is getting so big that um, the difficulty level seems to keep getting like more difficult. So yeah, I'm if I can find any advantage, if there's any way that I can somehow make it less daunting, I'm all for it. So so anyway, what else? I'm thinking. I really honestly don't remember much of what happened last one. But I see on my notes I wrote down the fact that I've been thinking about getting a tattoo, and I want it to be like floss related, and I'm not sure like if I would use like this pattern or one of my other patterns that I'm like um, kind of known for. But I kind of want a tattoo that is about what I make. So, if you guys have any ideas of like what would be something kind of cool? One of my thoughts had been like it looks like part of my skin was torn away, and the underneath it is embroidery floss. I think that's kind of neat. As soon as I'm finished with this, literally as soon as I finished with this project, I'll be going straight into the pillows. Like there is no, I am so eager to do it, but my fear is because I'm the kind of person that, man, if I put this aside, it's not going to come back. I have to like keep at this to make sure it stays relevant and make sure it stays in my face. And the motivation for me to get this done has been that you want to do other stuff, right? Yeah. Well, if you want to do other stuff, you got to finish this one first. And it's, like how a parent would make their kids, finish their meal before they can have dessert or something, kind of prodding that's kind of keeping me going at this. And yours is the one and only vote in the whole which of the ones to do first. And just as a little insider thing, the one you voted for was not the one I wanted to do. So based on your vote, you'll get to have yours done first, and the whole time I'll be going grumble, 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 grumble. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever actually tried to do the polls on Instagram or not. I know that YouTube used to have it in the community area, and then for whatever reason, they stopped doing polls altogether, which was really weird. Um, I think Patreon may have the tool for it, but Patreon is sort of weird too. You can't. One of the things that bums me out is you can't like pin a post, so you can't put something at the top for when everybody um, can come and find it. So that's one of the drawbacks. Speaking of, we can do this real quick. A little shout out for my Patreon peoples for thanking them for all of the support and actually also thank you guys for the get well soons and stuff. That was really sweet of you guys. I really, it's, I know it's kind of simple thing, but yeah, it made me feel a whole lot better that knowing that people cared. Right, right. I guess I can see how that would work. Yeah, no, for me I have this thing every day I wake up with like, what am I gonna make? And then I'm like, no, well, you're gonna work on the big project. You're gonna make that thing happen, and it's like, okay, fine. I just have this. My brain wants to be rewarded with the dopamine, and unless I keep with the task, yeah, I could be easily led into other things altogether. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think I should go ahead and do longer rows and be done with it, be able to clip off the excess string, or do you think I should keep going with the short rows, which are a little bit faster to complete the rows and come back at one more pass to finish it? Well, Amanda, you're finishing off stuff like crazy fast. Like I have no idea how you manage to produce as much as you do as quickly as you do. So, I mean, there's got to be a sense of reward because you're able to create so many things so quickly. Yeah, I think I made the rule of doing one at a time when I ran into the case of not remembering what it was I started some of the other projects to be. Like I had, I may still have somewhere some where I had the strings cut, weird counts of numbers of strings and stuff, and I just have the kumi for it, and I have absolutely no idea what that was meant to be, what kind of bracelet it was, and the counts and the strings are weird, like there's four reds and four purple, but only two off whites and two. It's like, what was I thinking? Well, obviously I was meant to make a thing, but then I don't know. Yeah, I suppose if you're only stopping on the project after the project is far enough that you're not going to forget what it was you were doing, I suppose that sort of makes sense. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I saw the one that you made. That was really nice looking. Yeah, I personally I love the look that it is when it's the bracelet's loop. Like that's to me, it's well, way back in my earlier days of making bracelets, there was this girl that I was telling that, I'm was telling her I'm getting pretty good at it. And she's like, well, if you're really good at it, you wouldn't just leave just plain little loops. You would at least braid the loop of the bracelet so that way it looked a little bit more professional. If you were actually good at it, this is how this is something that you would take into account. And that really hit me hard. Like, oh, yeah, I guess right. It's in the finer details or whatever. So I started doing just a basic braid or whatever. Well, when I saw how to do kumis and that dawned on me, it was like, well, heck yeah, that's the real professional look for a loop that you can't get from pretty much anything else. Yeah, Mandy is absolutely brilliantly fast when it comes to doing the kumis as well. That's one of the things that, like wow, really the way she can kick those things out is amazing. Okay, so we have two short oranges, two short reds. That's just great. Wait, you know what? All right. Yellows are okay. That blue's kind of short. That's gonna have to go in the next one though. All right. Two oranges, two reds. Yeah, I would do that, and um, I had a number of ones. I somehow can still manage to. Maybe it's because I grew up in an era where I didn't name things, but it was like okay, like the Instagram one, and then later month go passes, and I have no idea which Instagram one I was thinking of at the time. I'm really bad like that. Like yeah, it's never as easy as saying the dovetail or whatever. It's most most of the things I work on are stupid complicated to begin with. And I have like all of after these two oranges that I'm adding, I have all of four more on the wall. I'm gonna have to cut more of those. Yeah, it's so much string being added. All right, so we're gonna go to the left here, up. Yeah, so somewhere along the lines, we came up with this thing where if you tie the first two strings of your kumi into a square knot and you tie the last two into a square knot, the whole kumi will stay exactly as it is. It won't kind of unravel. So that little thing that you do where you can take the strings and work them out for the bracelet, you can do all that without the kumi trying to come undone. It's it's a really cool effect. Cutting the string too short on a kumi? I don't think we've ever, because we're basically most of the time we're just using it for the loops in the center. So there's, it's really not a case of um, trying to make it too long for a kumi or whatever. This one, yes. Yeah, you have to have one at the beginning and one at the end in order to make it where it works out right. Hang on, did I do this right? Oops. Almost did that one wrong. No, I have not ran out of string while trying to do anything long. And I do have a number of longer ones. Actually, I can grab one to show you. Okay, so I have these, which are essentially like a bracelet that you would have to put around your wrist like 3 times in order to make it work. And those are kind of fun. And then there's this. And these come from, there's a little shop down off of Orchard. Mandy, I'll have to tell you what the name of it is. I can't think of the name of it. But they've got a rather interesting, fun button on the bottom of it. And they have all these little spools, which these things pop open and you can wrap your string in it. And it works like a bobbin. And if you're going to do a kumi for something really long like this one, you can actually have the strings in here and have these things like hanging off the end of the kumi loop, and it will actually make it so that way they're not getting all tangled and making a mess of everything. But you basically you buy these things at a bead shop. That's where they came from. And obviously we have quite a number of them because we made some pretty big kumis in the past. um, a lot of them were basically for uses like this, like just stowing things and making it look pretty. But yeah, that's how that came about. Oh, we also did a ukulele strap out of a braid, which was more than a meter long. So that was kind of neat. But the big thing in trying to do really long ones, I think, is to thoroughly plan ahead, like know what the lengths are that you're going to be shooting for and make sure that you don't screw that up, because I don't think there's any real way of adding the string in because you can't conceal the knot very well. It just is what it is. Yeah, the little bobbin things, depending on like how crazy you're trying to go, yeah. You can use the regular bobbins. So here's the trick with that. So you can use these bobbins. What you have to do, right, is I have to remember how to do this the right way. When you take the string out, you use this little hole here and you make it so that way in order to release the string, you kind of bring it up and over this part here and let the string come up, out through the hole. Because if you just make it to where it's just wound on here and you're trying to use these little end pieces, it'll keep coming undone and dropping. But you make it so that way it comes out, it's wound on there and then through this hole. And then you have to, it takes a little bit of extra work every time you want to release a little bit more string out. But that's how you do it with these. And it totally works. It's, I swear to God, I know this sounds a little wacky or whatever, but it totally works. And yeah, maybe I'll have to shoot a video to show how that actually, how to do that. But yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah, the real key is knowing how like how much you use per whatever bits. But you can kind of do that. You can measure it out like beforehand, like figure out what you're using. But she's right too that there is the more strings involved in the kumi that you use, the shorter it'll end up being with the whole thing. So, hello, Maris. Yeah, we could definitely look into the possibility of doing a strictly a kumi related video. That would be fun. Kind of touched on it here and there, but it's like it's not my primary whatever. So I kind of, but yeah, I could see where doing a video on it. Mind you, I think some of the whole how to do the knots and stuff was covered. If nowhere else, I suspect it was in the when I did my shoelaces. Um, and if you haven't seen it, you should probably check that out. I made shoelaces out of regular embroidery floss, so that was sort of kind of interesting. So this doesn't look great. I don't like it. Sorry, guys. Had a needle in my mouth. I didn't quite like how the knot landed there, so I took it out and redid it because I don't like it looking that weird. Yeah, so once we figured out how to do the bobbins with the regular bobbins, um, honestly, I think that's when Mandy started doing it that way over the other. So, um, here I got an idea. Okay, so here I have a bobbin. So let's try to show how this works. So you can see this is how you would unravel it, right? Well, if I take it and I put it through here, boom, it won't go anywhere. So this is the part that I'm putting into the kumi, and I leave this down here like this. Now, if I as I work on the kumi and this other piece out here gets shorter and shorter, to get it to release, you can't, mind you, you can't get it to where there's like no room at the top. You have to, when it's here or so, you take and you pull this out and you let that kind of come around and it'll let you go a little further. And you just, it keeps, I messed that up. Hang on. Try this again. Now put this in the clip so it can't go anywhere. All right. So you take it and you just kind of come around, like let string out, and it'll get longer. Here, let me wind this back up a little bit so you can see this. All right. So you have to take it over the other end, and it'll just get longer and longer. And that's how you can just use one of these as your piece. To get it longer, just pull it out again. It's really simple. It seems counterintuitive at first, but it really works. And then you can just have these things. And like Mandy said, they're lightweight, they're cheap, they're easy. It'll do the trick. So the core thing, like Mandy's talking about, one of the interesting things of that is there that if you look at like mountain climbing rope, they actually have that kind of happening inside of the rope as well. So the outer shell is like this really fancy kumi, and the inside is like a nylon thing for reinforcement, and that's kind of what gave me the idea as to how to be able to pull that off. And it makes it so that way it doesn't, normally with a kumi, if you do 1 inch and then you take and you give it a tug, it'll be like an inch and a half or something. But if you have something like a core running inside of it, um, it doesn't pull. So you can actually like target the length that you want of your bracelet exactly, and it'll turn out exactly how you wanted. Because yeah. Yeah, you guys have tapped into Mandy's expertise. I love it. I definitely feel like this is more and more reason why we need to have a Mandy cam. So anyway, if you're just joining us, these little hangouts that we do here do tend to run in all kinds of different directions. And today we happen to be talking about kumis, which I have to admit is an aspect of making bracelets that I do enjoy. I'm nowhere near as good at it as my wife, but she's here answering questions. So yeah. So how is the stabby craft going? Are you still keeping up with your temperature thing? Last I asked about it, you had a couple different ones. A gothic-y book one and then like squares ones. Oh, and speaking of gothic-y things, where is our other gothic-y friend? You're a very busy young lady. Yeah. I don't know how you can have that much stuff on the plate without feeling a little overwhelmed. Definitely impressive though. All right, now I need two light blues, the outer ones, to replace. And I believe there was this blue to be replaced too. All right. So 44 is the limit, Amanda? That's as big as the I'll be honest, the trick if you want to do something big is not necessarily trying to get a pattern that's greater than 44. It's just finding a pattern that you like, that you know well enough, and then you just double it and then double that and then double that again. And now you're up to 8 times the width. It's huge. And hey, look at that. We managed to do an hour without me like dying over here. So that's good. Much improvement over last week. Right. I started in on big ones kind of early on in my whole bracelet making, just because I had discovered how easy it was to actually double a pattern. Um, Interesting side note: if you can make your loops change up or whatever, I did I did this pattern once before where um concentrate in this area, like, so that way these four strings were one color, right? So let's say that it's red. The next four strings coming in were orange. So on where this red one was, I had to have, like, in between it was the oranges on this side and purple on the other side, right? So I have, this one's red, this one's orange, then yellow, green, blue, purple, and then it goes back and repeats it. So basically, I was able to create like a rainbow one. It's all still the same pattern, and this pattern repeating itself is relatively easy. And knowing when things zig and zag is relatively easy because it's a simple pattern. But to get to increase the intensity and or the difficulty or whatever, that's another alternative. You can just take a simple pattern and then make the colors varied as you increase its width. Just a thought. I'm I'm really sure when I say this stuff, I'm sure you're quite capable of it. I see the stuff you make. You're absolutely brilliant. So I'm sure you can totally do it. Right. Yeah, there seems to be a sudden, like, I don't know if it's just my Instagram or whatever, but I'm noticing like a lot of people are trying big projects. Possibly noticing it because half of them are like, my project is big, but it's not as big as AWOL's. Like, thanks. Ah, it's like, yeah, it doesn't have to be as big as this. This is, oh, interesting. Other side note is I'm now over 2,200 subscribed over on this YouTube channel. So that's very cool. Um, I can't, I was really, it just came in this last week where we've crossed over that little milestone or whatever. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed with that. If we could just get everybody to watch like 2 hours worth, I'd be monetized. I would be giving away more stuff. Hey, that's awesome. You made a phone bag. Cool. Show 5:30. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. If I helped in any way to inspire that, then kudos. It's I have inspire is in lights back here because that's one of the things I hope to do. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. This that's why I decided early on that I was just going to call this the big project because honestly, what else what else would I call it first off? And secondly, it's the largest thing that I'll probably ever make in my life unless commissioned otherwise. And we're talking they're going to have to pay me handsomely to do something if they wanted something like this or this big or bigger. I we're talking ridiculous like buy me a car kind of money to even consider it. Mostly because I mean I started this in August. So yeah, I mean, this has been a long, long haul to basically be working with the same color strings and the same basic pattern and stuff. So yeah, it's no joke. Yeah. And like people have like suggested like I get a hold of the Guinness Book of World Records for this thing. And that seems really cool and all, but I think it costs like a ridiculous amount to have somebody to actually verify your claim. Um, which is kind of how they make their money. It's not just from the beer. Um, but I kind of hope somebody else does take up the thing and tries to outdo it. Um I think I'll be rewarded enough as the guy who kicked these things off into motion that made it cool enough that people wanted to try to do bigger. So, mother of all wall hangings. Yeah. I would kind of like to be able to assure that in the event of my demise, that uh, a museum or something would inherit this. I would hate to think of, somebody coming through the flat and be like, okay, everything goes. Yeah, I don't think they actually have to see the whole thing. That I think that there would be enough. I could show them how to do the math to find out that it's 800 and what is it? 866 strings wide. And they just have to do a bunch of measuring and maths and stuff. Yeah, can you imagine me having to like have a dude around me the whole time I'm making this to verify that I'm in fact making this? That would be crap for both of us. Although he could like control the whole, mouse or whatever. We could like check out Reddit or something while I make knots. That'd be cool. Or listen to me do my ice bear impersonations. There you go. Yeah, I think if I was going to put it in a museum, I think what I would do is I would have there's I don't know if you guys remember this, but one of the tests of the pattern, the concept or whatever, was a bracelet. I made a bracelet of this, and I would include the bracelet with it to be able to say that, from, well, here, it's actually within reach, and say that, we from friendship bracelets to this, I was a nodder. Oh, and this is the how I'm going to make the tassely bits at the end, just not as big, not big diamonds, just small ones, and knot it off. So that's the plan at least. But yeah, it would be really. I think it'd be really cool. I would probably want it in the Singapore Museum because that's where I live now, and the whole thing was made here. So I have no thoughts of this stuff traveling the world like Van Gogh or whatever, but that wouldn't that be neat? Like if, you know, it was kind of, something that went traveling the world. That'd be cool. Get the get the museum to put up my work inside and then set myself up with a little blanket or something outside, sit around making them. And yeah, I'm that dude. You want to buy a bracelet? $5, $10. Uh, Probably, I would say probably the art museum, because if I was any of them was to have a tapestry, I would say it's that. Plus, the science museum seems to always be under like lots of change. Like there's always something different. Mind you, one of my favorite artists, we went to go see um, Salvador Dali over there at the science one, and that was brilliant. I love his work. Um, what else did we see, honey? There was Salvador Dali and um, who did tessellations? Why can't I think of his name? The guy that drew a picture of himself in a ball. Why can't I think of his name? Right. Who was the other artist we saw, honey, besides Dali? Absi Escher, that's it. Another one of my all-time favorites. It seems like it's been so long since we've done anything fun like that. Used to used to love getting out, seeing things. Now, especially now that I've been sick, I really don't want to get that again. Oh, and mind you too, I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I was kind of on a pretty decent like get up in the morning, drink some water, do some yoga, and then do an exercise bike and get my heart rate going, get myself, up and roaring for the day, which I used it to really kind of help clear my head, and um, it helped with a whole lot of motivational problems and things like that. And now that I've been sick for a week, I have not been able to do it. And the general advice is that with COVID, to not do the exercises until 10 days after being clear of all symptoms. So like right now, the fact that my I can still feel it in my throat and in my ears and stuff, that's still symptoms. So I'm waiting to get past all this just to be able to have to wait another 10 days of feeling okay before I can even start to do any sort of my routine. And they're saying like I'd have to start out at half the amount of effort and um, so basically I do like at least 30 kilometers on the bike. So I'd have to, and I'm do that in about an hour. I would have to try to limit myself to only doing 15 kilometers and or possibly do it at 15 kilometers an hour. Um, so it's like as in put in half the effort, which to me that just seems painfully slow. And I don't know, it just takes all the fun has just been taken out of everything here recently. It just kind of sucks. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely tough. War is not ever a good thing. I can't believe that we're this close to World War III now. Like seriously. Like America wants to help out, but and as you've got all these people saying that they should just step in, and Russia's like anybody else steps into this thing and it'll be considered a declaration of war. It's really weird. Yeah, Rainbow, I kind of it feels that way, doesn't it? Yeah. I have a feeling that because he's losing, he's just looking for a way to just get nuclear involved. Like he's just gonna go out like that. That's just the way it feels. Yeah, it is terrifying. Absolutely. How is this one so short? I saw that there was he Vladimir Putin wanted a special UN security thing to talk about the fact that there were chemical weapons going on in um, Ukraine, and that basically he's gaslighting them because he's possibly going to look to release chemical weapons, but he's trying to start the premise or a rumor that there are chemical weapons currently in the Ukraine that like that they've been working on something and that act like it is their fault that it's been released and that he and then he can act like he's just responding to that. So yeah, it's the whole premise is absolutely horrifying. There is a center for disease control or whatever in Ukraine. Um, but they've been pretty much instructed to burn everything. Like just don't leave anything, even if if you were looking into the COVID or whatever, just torch everything so that way there's nothing that Russia can have on them. It's it's really really weird, creepy, bad. Yeah, I've seen them trying to the the blame game going on, you know. Oh no, look, we're not shooting that. Yeah. It's crazy. I finally gotten to where I've like walked away from, I'm not consuming nearly as much news as I was when this whole thing started. I had to slow it down. This stuff will make you crazy. Yep, you're right, Amanda. It does. Ah, this chair. Oh my God. I am absolutely going insane over here. I've I knew somebody who knew how to weld. I would have them weld this thing so that way it won't keep doing that. I'll just be sitting there and it's just like zoop, and I drop, you know, a half inch or more. Oh, it makes me crazy. So interesting side note here, back to the whole big project thing. Um, this right here, this pattern, this little, it's like a eight or whatever, the same one as this one here, right? That's considered, well, from there to there is one segment, right? There are nine of those in the overall pattern, but the fact that we've actually come from the edge over here and are more than one segment, then that means I'm more than 1/9 of my way into this row. Not that that's exceptional or anything. It's not like I've gotten like so far halfway or anything crazy, but it's starting to feel like a little accomplishment, you know? Like celebrate the little things because the big ones are too far apart. So, yeah, I don't know how to get a video of me in the chairs. Yeah, because like I put it back up and it hasn't done it again. I don't know how to get a video of it. Oh, what if we put the security camera in here and wait for it to happen and then just take a segment of that? Oh, and have you guys seen the American reporters? These people, these refugees, they're like white people. They're like middle class, educated people. Like, we can't believe it. Like, oh my God, seriously. Like, you got Syria and you have the Palestinians, you have all these other places. Oh, well, they're just used to being bombed and, terrible things happening. But these are white people. Really irritates me. Anyways, anybody else got anything nicer to talk about than war? I know that we pretty much keep it open to anything, but just thinking about all this is so depressing. I never turn this music on. Why does nobody ever tell me when I forget to do stuff? Yeah. So I shared it on Facebook. There was an Indian woman showing all the different times that the Americans were, going losing their mind over the fact that these were Caucasians, and she was heated. You got censored? How did you get censored? Of course, I have to go look now. Wow. How did? I wonder if it's had to do with the slash because of that being like uh, a URL kind of thing. Where you did the summer fall thing. That's so weird. It's also weird that it didn't exactly say why it was censored. bad robot. Yeah. Out of curiosity, can you guys even hear the music? I'm not sure I have it dialed in right. So it might actually be yes. Music's too loud? Okay. See how that works. Eight-bit? You called the robot 8-bit? Retracted. Okay. Yeah, I suppose they're... Let's see. You kind of want them to do the right thing. You kind of don't want them doing... Like, can you imagine if Singapore was only going to offer, you know, help to Chinese people or something? Like, all the rest would be really heartbroken by that. And even with the majorities or whatever, it's you know, it's probably easier for Singapore to just say, well, look, we don't have the space for anybody, than to try to pick a side or something. You know what I mean? It's just... But yeah, seeing people leaving baby strollers for families that are, you know, that are coming through and stuff, you're like, nobody was doing that stuff when it was brown people. Like, that's just not cool. Okay, that's kinda... That's nice and long. Red is short. That red is long. Huh. Yellow? That's nice. Yeah, I definitely, there's been a lot of stories of like people going out of their way to be helpful and hospitable, and that's really awesome. That's I definitely commend all that. I just, I get, it just kills me when there's so many other countries. You know, Yemen has been in a civil war for how long now, and just destroying itself and its people. Just not. And I'm sure there's no simple solutions. I mean, I'm definitely glad that there are a number of people volunteering to help. Um, and I don't want it to be misunderstood about, you know, the whole thing. I just think there's a lot of people in need of help, not just Caucasians. It's Rainbow Haze does have an Instagram. I have not seen the word handle used as for like a nickname before in like a really long time. Like the last time I remember that being a thing was with like a CB radio, which I imagine most people here have never even experienced. Hey, there's the Gothic. I was asking about you earlier. Good morning. Yeah, isn't it going into the weekend where we start becoming closer to a normal hour? Like daylight savings or something. I assume it gets better. I guess now's as good a time as any to remind everybody that we still have to win the secret word game. I'm still waiting for somebody. All you gotta do is just say the right word in the chat, and the bot will let you know that you won. The clues are, it had something to do with one of my videos that I made, and it's supposedly easy enough that we shouldn't have any spelling problems. So I think that's the two clues that we have. I didn't want to get any more clues because I kind of feel like it's already pretty easy. Yeah, it's this weekend though, right? Yeah, I don't. The whole daylight savings thing is so stupid. It does not make any sense. Oh no. Well, hopefully that you have not gone and caught the COVID thing. Yeah, I got a white string that's getting too short. Yeah, this has obviously been just adding so much floss. It has been a real challenge here. And as I was trying to say earlier, honestly, the best bet is to not have to change out everything at once. If you can avoid that, you'll save yourselves a whole lot of heartache. Yeah, it's true. There's obviously a lot of other things you could potentially fall sick from, but COVID just seems to have a whole host of other potential got you kind of side effects. Where our dad's helper, the one that's helping us cope with him because he has Alzheimer's, she lost her sense of taste for almost 3 weeks. Like everything just wasn't as nice. So yeah. So when I was saying let's change the subject from, like, war and stuff, I was not thinking let's go talk about pandemics. Hopefully, Rainbow, hopefully lots of nice things. I think you guys are great people and deserve nice things. Well, I think if you're talking for this year, I think we will see this big project finally completed. Don't know when. I think there'll be a couple other really big-ish projects that come afterwards that are going to um, definitely wow and impress and inspire people. I'm kind of looking forward to that. So I'm now gonna go try to look this up. I should probably wait till afterwards, but then I'll forget. Insta. So is ACC part of the name on there? Is it ACC dot? Or is that just saying that it's the account? Oh yeah, there it is. Ooh, pretty. Oh, you do a bunch of the alpha patterns. That's cool. Yeah, it's over a kg. It was like a kg plus 75 grams or something last time we weighed it. So yeah, it is getting heavy. And um, I don't know if you saw the video. There's a video short on YouTube as well as a reels over on Instagram of me holding it up, and I realized like I'm not smiling for the better part of it, and that's because my arms are getting really tired of trying to hold them out, holding this thing up. So yeah, it's yeah, it is heavy. And yeah, like I was telling them earlier, I'm really kind of undecided if I should just keep doing the small row going across, or if I should go all the way for broke and double that row, the length here, and then I'd be done with it. Because as it stands now, shifting it out of the onto the easel has become really, really cumbersome. There's just so much stuff here. Right. Yeah, once this big project's done, there's at least, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 in the works for me. So Never ending amount of stuff. Oh no. SADS is not good. And 2 more blues. So Gothic, you're saying the meds themselves make you sad, or the effects themselves are in some way sad? Yeah, I take something to keep the SADs at bay. I have to admit they don't seem quite as effective as they were when I started them, but I'm definitely not as bad as I used to be. Actually kind of pleased at how much we've gotten accomplished here tonight. Basically finished out this row over here, got down these, and then this little bit over here. So this is not a bad amount of accomplishment. Still managed to put a number of strings on the project, so that's cool. Mind you, I haven't shown you like what it's like to try to put it in the worst of places, but we'll have plenty of time for that. Anyway, as we're kind of realize we're kind of approaching midnight over here, I think I am going to leave this here. Before I go, I want to thank my Patreon supporters for helping make this all possible. Honestly, could have done it without you guys. The camera came from you guys' support. Seeing as how I can't monetize the channel yet, it really does make a big difference. So thank you very, very much for all of that. Yeah, I will be back here again next week, next Saturday, and hopefully there's lots of progress, and maybe I'll have figured out how I want to go about doing this. I'm sure by then I'll have to make a choice one way or the other, but we'll see. And then yeah, hopefully you guys will be here. Hopefully you guys think about the secret word game. It's, you get to win all three things, right? 2 bracelets and a bag tag / keychain holder thing. So yeah, hopefully maybe somebody wins this next week. If you're watching this and it's not live, well, thank you for stopping by. Try to catch us live, because that's the only way you can actually win, at least for now, unless till we get to some other kind of things. So yeah, and is that everything? I feel like that's everything. All right, well, in that case, don't get your strings in a bunch.